Hello, my name is Joshua, and if you have been following this channel, I am going to be completing projects so I could get into mechanical engineering school. This is my second project. It's a motorized bicycle. It's an introductory project. It's so I can understand the basics of how an engine works and how it can effectively transport someone from one place to another. Putting in the last nut, and then this whole engine should be completed, or the piston and head gasket and all that type of stuff is correctly inputted. Oh, pretty scared to work on this thing, but worth it in the end. Look at this, I get to feel like a mechanic now. Here's the bike. I removed some unnecessary weight from the bicycle to free up some space, lower the seat down. And here's the engine. I'm gonna see how well it goes. Installed the rear sprocket as instructed by the instructions. Now the next step is to install the motor. There it is. The problem here is that this is obstructing it, but the good news is that this is connected to this left one, and this one does nothing. This one, on the other hand, you can see it move very back. I don't know. Here, I'm moving it. It's very slight, but it works. There you go. That's better. So, we're gonna keep this one to change gears. This one is useless. I'm gonna take it out, save some space, save some weight, and hopefully it'll all fit perfectly good. Well, here's the finished product of installing the motor. The carburetor, the exhaust, the motor. I took off the cover for that thing. It goes in like that. And the chain, which was the most annoying part, but with the help of my dad, I got it to work. And now I'm going to tighten the chain tensioner, which I had no clue that's what that was. The yellow weird thing. Well, I guess you learn something new all the time. Well, I try to complete this for the end of the day. I started this in the morning. It's already, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5. Yeah. Try to finish it. This part was probably the most stressful part of the whole project. I almost entirely relied on my father, who, as you'll see later why, to help me, create this thing. Thankfully, he helped me, and even when I was stubborn, he still, tried to help me, and you'll see what happens.
You can hear that, boy.
This is my dad trying out the bicycle. After about a week or so, 2 weeks of riding this thing, configuring it, tweaking it, I think we could say this thing works completely. This oil, I don't know where it comes from. I'll have to check that out. I think it comes from the exhaust. The carburetor, it needs to be adjusted. We put in new wheels, new brake pads, I'll adjust it accordingly. But yeah, when we first started it, it wouldn't spark. But so we figured it out. The spark plug does spark. Then we figured out that it was the head gasket broke. It didn't. It's perfectly fine. And then the wires. Oh, the wires. One of them was disconnected. That's why it didn't work. So it's gonna be difficult, but this thing is roadworthy. Yeah. Today was quite a successful day in making the bike, or modifying it at least. So I moved this thing. It was up here. I moved it down here so I could tape a flashlight to here, like in the dark or whenever it's night. Today I actually refilled it because it's super low. I should turn off the gas. And engine is quite hot. I'm not even touching it, and I feel the warmth. I added holes into the carburetor for better airflow, but I think one hole would have been fine, because now at the very bottom or at the very top, it's kind of like kind of restricting. It's not firing, so I think that we have to do something with that. Let's see. There, you see there are 2 holes there. So instead of taking off the whole muffler and making it super loud, you just drill a couple holes in there. It's pretty awesome. So before, I was only able to go 23 base line or stock model. Now I was able to reach 30. Yeah, it's cool. I'm still interested on how they get oil on this, because the oil goes in the gas tank, blows up in here, but how does it lubricate the chains and everything else on the inside? I don't know how that works. That's some crazy fancy engineering. So yesterday, my brother, when he tried it out, he said, "Oh, it sounds like the sound is coming from the engine and not from the exhaust, right? Or from behind, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know why." Also that day, it wouldn't idle for some reason, and I thought it was the air intake. So that's why I covered both the new holes that I made. I was like, huh, it's still not working. Today, when I covered it up and tried it again, or it was working, but it wasn't idling, and it wasn't going as strong. And then I noticed there's smoke coming out of the engine. So I stopped it, right? And I think I found the problem. It's very difficult to see, but there is a gap, alright, in between the exhaust and the exhaust port for the engine itself. As you can see, there's these where's my finger? That little like thing there, and on the other side. It's supposed to be in the middle as well, but it isn't. So I'll voice over this part, as it took me a long way to say it. Anyways, there's this copper pasting that you could practically buy. It's an exhaust gasket. You basically apply the paste around the exhaust, and it basically acts as a gasket. So I threw out the old paper one. It was like cardboard paper. I don't know how it worked. And I put on the new one. As you can see in the background, I got the copper paste. I went to an auto parts store. You could also see some Christmas lights. I decided to decorate it with some Christmas lights. And there's the phone mount holder, so I could, monitor my speed as I'm going to make sure, want to see if I hit new records at most while I'm riding it. Put the sealant in. As you can see, it's orange. It's a bit hard to see, but it's there. It's all around. At least I hope that's how to correctly make it. And the instructions say to let it cure for
an hour. So it hardens up in an hour, but it needs 24 hours to fully cure.
So I guess I'll be waiting until tomorrow. Hopefully that was the problem as to why it wasn't idling. Yeah. Fresh ride. What is that? What is that smoke? Is that from me? Alright, we'll check this out. Oh yeah. That exhaust is hot. Do not touch it. So an update on this thing. I messed around with the carburetor. I moved one of the pin down one, and now it has it goes 30 miles per hour still, max speed, recorded max speed, and it consistently idles instead of last time where it idled sometimes, idled didn't, or idled only when the choke was specifically on a certain setting. I want to take a video of me riding around the neighborhood with it. I'm gonna grab me a helmet. I can get kitty cam on there. See him? There we go.
While I let the video play, you could hear the engine in the background, going at it. I think it was during this one or right after this one where I got a new top speed, 33 miles per hour maximum. That is crazy fast. I'm pretty sure if I had a straighter enough road, I would be able to reach 35 guaranteed. But 33 is way more than enough. Apparently, that's a 150% increase in horsepower, original horsepower at least. And, going from 23 miles per hour base to 33 miles per hour with just a few holes drilled into the exhaust and the carburetor, that is insane. It's a 30% increase in speed. It was pretty cool when it happened because it's awesome. The only thing that sucks now is my parents are very hesitant about me driving it now. My father learned, you need, in Washington State, you need a license to apparently drive this because it's 66cc. So I'm no longer riding it. I'm no longer allowed. I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it, get a better bike with actual suspension and better brakes, and put a 49cc 4-stroke on it, not a 2-stroke. The 4-stroke is so I can basically, in the video, you'll be able to see I come to a stop, and I'll have to pedal a little bit, and then I could throttle the gas. With the 4-stroke, you could go from a standstill and start, moving right away. That's what I want to do. It's so I could, take it places, maybe in the summer, in the spring. My dad could use it. My dad has back problems, so, it'll be better for him, better on his spine. Overall, this project is extremely awesome. Very cool. I would recommend everyone to be able to do it if they could. This would definitely help people who can't afford to have cars, but also can't afford to not have a vehicle. This can get you to your destination fast. The only problem is if you're in a place where you have to take the interstate or the highway wherever you go, it's gonna suck. But if you're in a place where there's local roads around you everywhere, like where I am, like I live in the suburbs, there's cars going 40 on certain roads, but there's a shoulder, so I could, take the shoulder and just go cruise at a normal speed. Gas's mileage is awesome. You could get a trunk, basically, a bicycle trunk, attach a milk crate to it, and put a 2-gallon jerry can in there. And that'll be enough to take you 250 miles max. if there's, you know, maximum fuel in the fuel tank already. You can adjust the how much fuel it takes. So it could be very weak, you know, acceleration would be very bad. But, you know, you could not take any fuel at all. So you could probably increase that to 350 miles if you wanted to. I think if I had the time, I would take this thing and explore America with it, where I could go. 49cc I heard is like the best, because most states, federal limit, anything above 50cc you have to get licensed for it, or licensed for it. Some states it's 150, 100. Canada, I heard it's like, yeah, 100, something like that. So that's what I would do. Oops, my bad. Yeah, there isn't much talked about, except, yeah, this thing's pretty awesome. Yeah, I show this to my family, extended family. A lot of them are uncles from Ukraine. They both, apparently everyone in the Soviet Union always messed around in motorcycles, and I invited them to ride on it, and they're like, wow, it's like a trip back to the past. So, you know, I'm happy they are happy. Yeah, alright.